Hi there and welcome back to History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to be going over some Mirage items, LPs, but I did want to wrap up with a couple things that I had forgotten on my last video pertaining to Belladonna. And that was the 2017 rarities from 1981 to 1983. I think I have this misfiled with my Wild Heart items because it was a little bit of the B-sides and alternate takes from Belladonna and the Wild Heart. And I did think that we had a whole LP of alternate takes from Belladonna, but alas, we do not. And probably when I go to talk about the Wild Heart albums, I probably will bring this back out to show again. But I did want to add that this should have gone, well, I'm going to put it right in between my Belladonna and Wild Heart. But it is inclusive of Belladonna, Edge of 17, and After the Glitter Fades. And Blue Lamp, which technically would be Belladonna, because it was recorded in 81. And then we have 82, Sleeping Angel, and Wild Heart. Not too sure what year that one is, just the Wild Heart session, which I think is Tusk era. So this definitely should go more along the lines with the Belladonna stuff, but being as it's called the rarities from 81 to 83, it just kind of slips right in there. So that was just a little loose end from Belladonna stuff. Additionally, I have the 2023 release of Belladonna Live, which had just been misfiled. I think I had it with my later stuff because it had come out somewhat recently, only just a couple years ago. Another Record Store Day release, and this was the Belladonna live show that had come out. It was on HBO, and the nice thing about this is that this is the whole show. I believe what we had been shown and what most people had on bootleg for so many years was not the complete show, and I'm 99% sure that this is a complete show from one of the two nights, or I can't remember how many nights she was at the Wiltern, but that's what this is. So again, this would go definitely with the Belladonna stuff. There is a new Belladonna album out right now from Rhino Records, which is a Mobile Fidelity, I want to say. And that has been reaching, I'm recording this around the 7th of June, and I believe people are getting that in the mail. I have yet to order it. I would very much like to, but if and when that comes out, with some other new stuff, if I eventually obtain it, I'll probably just do a light video on new arrivals and where they're going and such. But that is something that's out right now, and apparently it is the best sound of Belladonna, even over the Vinyl Me Please, which you'll see actually in the next video. Shouldn't be talking about that in advance, but yeah. So that wrapped up that one. So that was that. And so now going into Mirage, I'm going to start off again with this item that I believe to be a true item. This is one of my favorite items. I've never seen it again. And the reason I put it at the beginning of Mirage is because it's kind of strange. It says it's out of Taiwan. It has some of the writing on the back. It looks very official. It doesn't look like one of those bootlegs that comes out of Mexico. I have other titles like this with this label as well. But what's funny about it is it's called the Best of Fleetwood Mac. And it has almost every song off Mirage, but then it's also inclusive of Say You Love Me and Secondhand News. So we have an item off of the White Album and an item off of Rumors, which I thought was kind of strange. It is on Discogs. A couple other people mentioned that having it, but I've only seen it on eBay once, and I nabbed it. And this is just an incredible score for me. I do hope it's real and not a bootleg. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite items, just because it's unique and different. But I just think it is out of Taiwan, and just one of those weird little extras. I would normally put it with the albums because it contains so much of Mirage, but again, with the earlier items, I thought I'd put it at the very beginning. But prefacing Mirage would of course be the singles, and the first one I'm going to show is Hold Me, which had come out before the album. I think this single came out about a month before the album, if memory serves me correct, when I talked about the 45s. And this was the 12-inch version, and it's the same on the front, side A and B, or side 1 or 2. Sorry. There's no difference. There's no fade in, fade out, or anything like that. It's exactly the same. It's just a 12-inch version of the single promo, which is pretty cool having the cover like that. Sent to radio stations, I'm sure. This thing, we'll put this at the end. I should have filed that differently. We'll put that at the end. This item as well is definitely one of my favorites. This I have only seen one copy of. Came in this sleeve, which isn't very fancy or anything like that, but it is out of, where is it out of? I think of France. Yes, out of France. And it is a Hold Me single. It's really funny because when I pulled this out, I need to re-listen to it. And I wish I'd done that before I made the video, but such is life. Because it says Hold Me intro 0.07 seconds. So I don't know if it has a different in the intro here. So I think it just has a different, I think they're the two mixes, you know, like the fade in and fade out or something. But it's just a super cool single. Again, never seen it before. Haven't seen it since. I entered it into Discogs, so you'll see somewhere there it shows Made in France. So yeah, definitely one of the top 5 items I have in my collection as far as just rarity and kind of obscure. So keep an eye out for that one. Again, if you're into collecting. And we have Can't Go Back from the UK. This is a 4-track single. A lot of you will recognize this photo as the opening with the chain for the HBO Mirage special. This photo I believe to be by Sam Emerson. And when I get to my photo album, it's really cool. I have some outtakes of this. And I've always been really fond of this photo. Even though it doesn't show their faces, it just really connects to the aesthetic of Mirage, in my opinion. I think it just really goes hand in hand. But this includes Can't Go Back, Rhiannon, Tusk, and Over and Over. And none of them are alternate versions. Rhiannon is from the White Album. Tusk, Over and Over, both taken from the album Tusk. So they are just those versions. Nothing different about them. But a nice UK 4-track single. And then we did have a 45 like this, but I think that the 45 was just Can't Go Back. I don't remember what the B-side was. And I don't remember where it was from, but a 45 I also had this cover. And but I was thinking about that because remember I had the 45 that had this cover as well. I had the 45 that had this cover, and then this photo is also used as a picture disc for the 45s. And this is Fleetwood Mac, Oh Diane, with Only Over You, and the chain. Again, just like on the 45, the chain was being promoted pretty heavily for being the theme from the BBC TV's Grand Prix, which I've never seen. Not sure what that's all about, but I guess it was a pretty big hit for them. So it was resurgence for Fleetwood Mac for the chain and probably for Rumors. But then also great to add it as a B-side to go with the Mirage items, because that's probably when the show was being aired at the time. So this is out of, I want to say, the UK. Yeah. Back here. Also, I believe that the Only Over You and Oh Diane are just the regular Mirage tracks. Again, not anything different. And the chain is the standard Rumors take. So, again, nothing alternate about that, really. And just the sleeve, if you wanted to see the or the label, pardon me. And then as the last thing that I'll wrap up before I get into the albums, there's not too many albums, but there's just some stuff I want to bring up and kind of make these videos short. But this was a really neat little item. And this maybe should have come out after the albums because it came out in 82, 83, just right in there. But this is a really neat album. I mentioned it when I talked about the singles because it's has Cold Water on it, which was the B-side to Gypsy on the 45s. And this came out as a record and a cassette. So it was the only other way you could get Cool Water was on cassette. This has never been reissued on CD. And it's got this cool little write-up and picture thing about Fleetwood Mac and the B-side of Cool Water. So just a neat addition, and this is a pretty cool little album. It's got, you know, some big names like Madonna, Depeche Mode, B-52s, but at the time they weren't. So that's what's kind of cool about it. Talking Heads. But it is a mixed artist and label record. And just, again, B-sides from, you know, some of their bigger hits. And for Madonna, I want to say it was Ain't No Big Deal, which I forget what that was the B-side of, but I remember that being pretty popular. But Cool Water, it was just kind of cool that they added it, no pun intended. I love that song, and it was neat to have it elsewhere and in a compilation. And it was pretty cool if you got the cassette, because then you could listen to it elsewhere. Otherwise, you only had it on vinyl. So that was a neat item, and I wanted to wrap up with that. So thank you so much for coming back for this. And next up, we're going to have all the albums. Pardon me. And not too many of them, but just enough that I thought I'd make a separate video instead of trying to put it all in this one. So thank you so much for joining me this time, and have a great night. And I'll be back next time with the Mirage albums themselves. Thank you.